He's back!
Se maconha segurando, olha a via safada relaxando, olha a pica safada sem vergonha, você toda na pica doida de maconha, presta atenção pro bagulho é doidão, trava essa puta ficando safada, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, ai, senta
He's back!
Maconha segurando, olha a via safada relaxando, olha a pica safada sem vergonha, você toda na pica doida de maconha, presta atenção pro bagulho é doidão, trava essa puta ficando safada, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, ai, senta
He's back!
Se maconha segurando, olha a via safada relaxando, olha a pica safada sem vergonha, você toda na pica doida de maconha, presta atenção pro bagulho é doidão, trava essa puta ficando safada, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, ai, senta
He's back!
Se maconha segurando, olha a via safada relaxando, olha a pica safada sem vergonha, você toda na pica doida de maconha, presta atenção pro bagulho é doidão, trava essa puta ficando safada, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, senta malvada, quica malvada, trava na ponta da pica e não para, ai, senta
Right. Hello. Good morning. Happy Tuesday, y'all. It's High Priestess Jamila. So I wanted to come and answer the riddle, the mystery, and I can't really say everything that I know and that I found out. Why is it that you can be a good person and you don't have any ill will for anybody? You don't. You have good intentions. You are smart. You kind of feel as though you want to do good things by other people because you want good things to come to you. Why is it that those people still get hit and badly? I'm talking about badly by curses, witchcraft, and baneful magic. I'm going to get right into it and tell you why. So, where do I start with this? First of all, I want to start where spirit is leading me, is to say that our existence is kind of duality. So, like when you look at the universe, because that's pretty much what makes it all happen, is that the universe is extremely loving and extremely warm and extremely good, while at the same time it can be cold, unloving, and evil. And so there are people out there that know how to manipulate those energies. Now, I think I want to start with the whole destiny swapping thing, which we are going to probably start calling that blessing diversion curses, where your blessings are being diverted to someone else on purpose. Because when you say something like destiny swapping, I think that it kind of doesn't explain it. It kind of makes it unbelievable, but it's actually very real. And I've noticed that more people have been talking about destiny swapping, or as I am going to get in the habit of calling it, is blessings diversions or blessing diverting. So basically, that's what destiny swapping is. It is the blessings of another person or people can be diverted to another person. Do I believe that this happens and creates a whirlwind for people that do things like that? I don't believe it, but I think it would depend on how good that person is at doing it, because people have different levels of their diabolicalness. Okay. But I'll start with that. Okay. Why would that happen? Why is it that you see good things happening for people that are extremely undeserving, and people that actually do deserve because they have not committed any crimes against humanity? I mean, how is that? How does that happen? Why is it that, especially when it comes to your adversaries, why is it that they are seemingly undeserving of the blessings that they have? And here you are, a good person, would not hurt a fucking fly, and you damn near die from some shit because your shit just being taken and stolen from you, and you damn near half dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just gonna come straight out and say it. That's how I talk. And the reason why is because of number one at the top of that list is that your protection is subpar, and you have not thought deeply enough into the protection. Black magic, baneful magic, witchcraft is something that people want to be in denial about. But when you look at it, it is so many different avenues and corners and turns and things being created every single day. So it is something that can create amazing things, but there are some people that choose to take it to a very dark and sinister place. They just do. And you don't want to get caught up in trying to teach those people necessarily to be good people. The one thing that I can tell y'all, which is a tactic that they have been using, is if they can't find anything that you have done in this lifetime, people will look at your Akashic records. If someone wants to curse you bad enough, they will try to look at your Akashic records. They will try to look at past lives. What I have noticed is that past life regressions and curses are not just happening randomly. They are actually, it is a well thought out plan by some of your adversaries to do that, to pull from the past life any negative karma that you have, which is why it is so important to do the shadow work. Past life work and divination is comparable to shadow work, if not the same thing. And it is very difficult doing that type of work, but sometimes it's necessary to go there. Um, is what I can tell you. And it's something that since I have been reading the tarot for well over 10 years, I have noticed the cards will just scream at you that could possibly be going on. And so a lot of people will become very overwhelmed with it and they will feel like nothing is helping. Nothing is helping. Then you end up feeling stuck, trying to do constant return to senders. Then you end up feeling stuck because now you're suffering from burnout. And burnout can be a spell and a curse too, to where you just have to keep using your creativity and your way of doing things over and over and over again to the point where you're feeling like it's not working anymore. And so the people that want to curse you, the people that want to hex you, thank you, Goddess, they have thought of everything. They have explored every possibility, and you have not. Okay. What I've discovered is that probably, I would say about 80% of curses and hexes are unjustified. That could be based upon my experience of the people that have came to Divine Services Apothecary. But from what I can see, people, reality, perception is reality. And everybody has their own individual perception of what reality is. So you don't have to be guilty of anything in order to get cursed or hexed. You don't even have to do anything to that person. In fact, a lot of it is scapegoating, which we are very familiar with within the Bible, with some of the uh, very well documented scapegoating tactics in the Bible. Okay. But it's been going on since the beginning. Okay. Somebody has some kind of guilty conscience about something, and it's too much for them to deal with. So they want to push it off on someone else and use that other person as like a sponge or a sacrifice. And we see quite often empaths, good people, nice people, sweet people being hit up by these diabolical energies. And when a person wants to avoid what they have done, they don't want to face it. They are going to come up with all sorts of tactics, and it will get darker and darker and darker. Okay. So the reason why you're still getting hit by it is because, number one, you have not. Now, people that are just doing stuff all freelance and stuff and lying to themselves and in denial about shit, hey, I'm not talking to them. I'm talking about you guys that are seriously pure of heart, right? And you just like, you know what I'm saying? The reason why you're still getting hit at ultimately at the end of the day is because you have not asserted your position and your path. And this is the reason why I tell people to be careful when it comes to religion, and why I'm careful. It's not that I hate religion and oh, I just, you know, I will say that I despise some of the things that came out of it and the results of it, but you know, to hate something would be giving it way too much power, and I'm not going to do that. Kind of opens you up for it because it's a book of how you're supposed to live by, of what you're supposed to live by, and which kind of, because I've studied it, okay, I kind of consider myself to be a biblical scholar. And that's exactly what the theme is that I've read over and over again: suffering for someone else's sins. If you have not wrote your own Bible, I think even if you're Catholic or Muslim or Christian, I think it's okay for you to write your own Bible. I think that that's okay for you to do that. I don't think it's anything wrong with that. So when you look around at the world and the people and all of the suffering, and how there's so many people that are suffering because of other people's confusion, and just the straight up diabolical nature of things that are happening, uh you know, it's either you're going to stand up and you're going to stand strong and you're going to say, hey, listen, this is me and my family and what I plan to do about the situation. Okay, period. So I think that that's some of the best protection, but then also understanding protection and understanding the universe and what is out there, the energies that are available for you out there. Because honestly, I'm a witch. I love practicing witchcraft. I love creating projects. I love working with water magic. I love working with dirt magic, crystal magic. I love doing the whole gamut. But I don't want to be sitting up here just sitting up here doing it but 24 hours a day. I don't even want to sit and think about it all the time until it's time. When you think about it, it's kind of abnormal, kind of where society went with it, because there was like this huge awakening 10 years ago, but then it turned into this obsessive nature. And you should not have to sit and obsess about it. Once you have found something that works, you should do it, and you should be able to forget about it. You shouldn't have to continuously go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with someone else's confusion, should you? But you are. You're still doing it. It's still happening. No matter what, you that's exactly what's happening. Is you're going back and forth with fear that if you don't go back and forth, that is going to have disastrous results. And there's nothing wrong with having good defensive work set up. I know that I'm working on several wards that I'm doing, but you can't just assume that just because you've been a good person, that the universe is going to automatically do that for you, because it's not. Everything has a bad side. Like, for example, when we look at right now, we are in a full moon in Pluto. Pluto is an amazing planet. I love Pluto. I have Pluto in my fourth house. However, Pluto can be used for evil. It can be used to torment someone. But it's also a planet of resurrection, regeneration, passion, ecstasy, joy, healing. So anybody can take something, for example, Neptune. Neptune is another one, okay? I have Neptune in my eighth house, coincidentally, right? Neptune is an amazing planet, one of healing, of peace, and just pleasure and playfulness, and it's just so happy and joyful. Um, by the way, I have two Pisces children, and I've got two Pisces children and one Aries and one Leo. And I can honestly say that the Pisces children, they were just always so happy and joyful, and they just was always smiling and just, and it's not to say that it wasn't the same for my fire sign children. My Aries, she was a little fussy baby for a little while, but she was very mischievous. And then, my Leo, he's my eldest, and he's just like, I am, he's very do right, and I'm so lucky to have that. You know what I'm saying? He just loves to do the right thing. But Pisces Neptune can also be used to do harm. It can cause illusions. It can cause paranoia. It can cause delusions. It can cause uh, anxiety, depression. It can either it can either bring a person extreme good luck or extremely bad luck. So, and the same thing with the sun, the same thing with the moon, the same thing with earth, the same thing with all of the energies, is that, especially if you're practicing some kind of high magic, which to me, high magic is planetary alchemy. I feel that it's alchemy work, would be under the category of high magic. That would be my definition of it, even though some people may have different ones. So it's all about your protection, being thorough, and then also exploring all possibilities of what could be wrong, what could be going on. You know what I mean? And when you get that thought process, to not just let it go. For some reason, my spirits communicate with me, my deities, they communicate with me when I'm in the shower or bath. And they will just come to me with messages for some reason. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I got that. And, when I get out the shower or bath, I'll do the work and it'll be phenomenal. Okay. So it's not that life is fair. It's just that life itself is very mystical. And when we look at our earthly life, there are a lot of people that are not understanding that your earthly life and your presence is based upon your etheric, your astral, and then the dreamscape, which is heavily connected to Neptune, which is deep, 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 subconscious, deep. Like the moon is deep, right? Like the moon is like very deep, as like the ocean, right? And so is Neptune, and so is Pluto. But Neptune will take you to depths of your soul. I mean, seriously. Like, and yeah, I think Neptune is such a, what's the word that I'm looking for? It is a very important planet. Let's put it like that. And for all of you cannabis smokers out there, cannabis is actually an herb that is connected to Neptune. So, and I can see why it would be connected to Neptune, because it's a psychedelic. It's basically a psychedelic. You know what I mean? So, protection needs to be very thorough, and it needs to be well thought out, and it needs to be done on a very deep level. And it should not be taken lightly. Your protection, your defense. Do I believe that religion does it alone? I don't. I have seen way too many religious people possessed. Possession does not always have to occur by spirits. I was actually watching a very interesting episode of Twilight Zone the other day, on Mother's Day, actually. I was watching Twilight Zone, and I said that was such a good day. That day was such a good day. Mother's Day was great. And but this guy is on there talking, and he was talking about, well, my mother used to tell me that there's these souls that are walking around the earth, and they're just looking for a body to get into. And yeah, that is true. Especially if you have a near-death experience, it's important for you to cleanse after you have any kind of near-death experience, and then maybe even do a soul recall, like a recall of self. So it's certain things that people are not doing. But what's very interesting is that you can be placed under possession by another person. Like, it doesn't have to be a spirit or a demon. So this is something that people are not paying attention to. And I feel like that person's psychic acuity, if I'm using the correct word, let me make sure I'm using the correct word, acuity. What does acuity mean, Ty? Testing, testing. Okay. Y'all probably could still hear me. So I got the right. It depends on the person's psychic acuity. Okay. Of how well they can possess you. And some people have a very, very strong psychic acuity. And some people are just like downright shamans. Just because a person is a psychic though or a shaman does not necessarily mean that they are ethical. You can't just assume that just because somebody has psychic gifts that they're going to use it and not abuse it, which happens a lot. So that's the reason why. And you can't go into despair about it, even though it is very easy to do that. It is, because it's sad. Why can't people just do things right? Why can't people just do the right thing? Listen, I think that as a human civilization, we need to ask that question when when we get our heads above water. Right now ain't the time. Right now, it's all about getting people to a stable and secure place. It ain't the time to be asking those questions because it just doesn't make any sense. Who cares? We'll think about that later. Because right now, there's psychic attacks, there's psychic vampirism, there's obsessions, there's, all kinds of things. And then, well, like I said, everybody is talking about destiny swapping and destiny stealing. Everybody's talking about that because it is a very real thing. The only thing is that nobody can actually steal your destiny. I mean, I guess they could. It depends on how you look at it or what the situation is. But most people are just diverting the blessings that are meant for you and bringing them to themselves on a smaller scale, reducing it, but still bringing it to themselves. So, and why would that happen to a good person? Why would that happen? Is it the fault of witchcraft? No. Does that make witchcraft inherently evil? No, it doesn't. It just means that, just like with any other thing, it can be used to do evil. So you can't just get mad at all witches, and which there's a lot of people that do. There's a lot of people that just get mad at witches, and they just hate all of us. I personally am one that uses my craft responsibly. I still do. I just notice certain things about what I'm seeing and I'm witnessing out here, and it's all around you. Witchcraft is all around us constantly. Magic constantly. I think that if you have blinders on and you don't want to see it, you can see it everywhere. Even in a pile of garbage, you can see magic everywhere. And I think that people that are sort of in denial about it, especially when it comes to people that have it out for them, you know, um, they don't want to see it. They don't want to admit that a person could possibly manipulate them in that way. Okay. Um, so we have been doing a lot at Divine Services Apothecary as far as looking at protection. Enemies are always going to try you, but the point is to not get hit by the shit. You don't want to get hit by it. And then again, you don't want to be obsessing all day, every day. I mean, yes, you can make sure that your altars are dusted off, depending on how many you have. I know that very soon I plan on having several. But it's something that for me, like what pisses me off about it is that it's like, I was born a witch, just FYI. I come from a bloodline of witches, and then I'm also a cosmic witch because I have Pluto in my fourth house with Cancer, with the moon. And then I have Neptune in my eighth house with Pluto. And then I have the moon in my 12th house, which is Neptune. And then I am a Cancer sun sign, okay, with a Leo ascending. So, I mean, honestly, there were times even before I picked up a candle that my magic was working and I wasn't even using it and it was working my whole life. You just notice things like that. You know what I'm saying? But um you don't want to live. I mean, I do it for a living for other people. So that means that I do have to focus on the work that I'm doing for clients. I often have to remind clients, once I have done something for the work, especially now, especially now. Yeah. It's been quite a few changes and advancements. But yeah, especially now, you want to have that balance. And I think that there are a lot of people that practice it, fear it, and once they get caught up in something, like for example, a lot of you guys will say, well, I think I'm hexed, my enemies are throwing stuff at me. And that may be true, but that won't be the only thing that's going on. There are several other factors that can make you vulnerable to that. So instead of just exploring that one thing, and I think people get stuck on that. Oh, I've got to get back at my enemies. I got to get back at my enemies. And so I am saying that kind of in vain on a Tuesday, where Tuesdays, that's my day. I love me some Tuesdays, okay? Because that is the god Eris's day. And he's my god. Eris is my god, okay? I don't, I feel like a lot of people that are going through a lot, being bullied, should turn to Eris. He is amazing. He is always there to stand guard with you, especially women, and be your knight in shining armor. He is amazing. He is the god of Mars, and so Mars is the first, even before the sun, even before your sun sign. When we look at astrology, and I think that there's a reason for that. Okay, because there is a significant amount of power that I believe that sort of supersedes even Jupiter when it comes to Mars. Okay, so but I think that there could be less war. Isn't that funny how the god of war wants to create less war? And I commune with that deity day, every day, from the time I wake up in the morning to the time I go to sleep sometimes, because it's a lot that needs to be dealt with. Okay. A lot of people say, well, that God is mythical. That's a mythical God. I don't believe in that. Well, I do. I do. I believe in Eris. I do. Okay. Um, I think that you should look at your zodiac sign, and I think that you should connect with that particular deity of your zodiac sign, which is why when I work with you guys, I want to know what your zodiac sign is, because that's one of the first that I'm going to go to. Is who, like, if you're a Pisces, I'm going to go to the gods of Neptune. If you are a Sagittarius, I'm going to go to the gods of Jupiter. If you are Capricorn, I'm going to go to Saturn. So, makes sense to me. And so a lot of people, some people don't believe in zodiac signs, and I beg to differ. I think that they're all based on the constellations in the sky. We have the right to name them whatever we want. And Ophiuchus, I'm a little stomped on Ophiuchus, because Ophiuchus doesn't really have a ruling planet. So I actually did a couple of readings for Ophiuchus, and it kind of, it was like, nah, because Ophiuchus doesn't have a zodiac sign. So I don't go by the 13th sign astrology. I go by the regular. And then sometimes I go by Vedic, or either, yeah, is it Vedic astrology? Yeah. They're typically one and the same. I think that there are a lot of people that are not considering the protection. I like to write spells that rhyme because those are very powerful. And I like to even do one phrased spells. However, when it comes to things like that, you either gonna type up a page or two or either write out a page or two. So, it takes time to do those things, which is why I charge people when I do work for them. Because if I'm handwriting something, and I have pretty decent handwriting, that can sometimes take up to 3 hours for me to do that. And I'm just, I'm not going to be working for free. You know what I'm saying? Like, and dealing with that, because what I pick up from a lot of y'all adversaries is psychism through their intention and their connection to your subconscious and your consciousness and your unconscious. And then I detect a lot of fragmenting of the soul, a lot in the people that I help is being very fragmented. One of the kind of the more spookier aspects of my job, which I've actually had it happen to me, is bad spirits of death. Death spirits, sickness spirits is another uh one. Spirits that are sent to you on an assignment. There needs to be careful consideration when you are doing that. That's why I shouldn't have, this channel should not be labeled as entertainment, should be labeled as education, is how I had it labeled for years. And somehow it got changed to entertainment. I think YouTube did that. And that really irritates me. Social media irritates, it just makes my ass itch sometimes. It is social media, and it just, it's so freaking annoying. It really is. So we have a new wave or a new crop of people that are noticing how very real it is, because everything that affects the mind, the dreamscape, the astral, and the etheric, everything there is going to affect your physical reality. So I think that that's some people kind of lost that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like they lost it's, and it's a lot being done to confuse people, almost like it's a joke, and it's not. I do have Native American ancestry, and they were shamans. And their beliefs, my ancestors, would get me flagged down on YouTube. It would. So I don't even discuss it on YouTube because it's just too much going on there. But a lot of you good people out there, don't give up hope. Get it out of your mind that God is punishing you. We have a lot of different theories. I actually do have it on good authority to know that there are people that can check your Akashic records and they can bring in curses from a past life to curse you. However, it could happen randomly through CERN. We don't know exactly what CERN is doing. So, they could have opened up some kind of wormhole that, is literally just got like direct contact with us. You just never know. But again, when you think about the levels of power and knowledge and wisdom of a witch, that should not intimidate you. You know what I mean? So And then when you think about where we all originate from, which is the universe, these are probably things that your soul and your consciousness already knows. You know what I'm saying? When people are raging even against me, I can see what's wrong with them. And I'm like, hey, bro, you need to go fix that. Go fix that. That's you having a past life regression, or you having some kind of something going on. And some other stuff that I'm not gonna get into. But and those energies can be very heavy. I've been walking the walk for well over 10 years now. So that energy shift and that feeling of death, because when you are connecting with the past life, you're connecting not only with your death, and that can be very scary for a lot of people, especially if you've never done it before. I've gotten used to it. I've done a couple of rituals here in the past couple of days that have kind of, struck me a little bit. But other than that, it was just like, and it was like, oh, let me ground myself. So, that can be difficult. It really can. Well, which is why I always keep my lines open of my phone for my clients, especially when we're doing certain type of spiritual workings that involve any kind of cleanses. When you're doing cleanses, you are dealing with past life stuff if you've had a past life. Okay. If you've had one, which I think that probably 99% of the people that I've ran into in the past 20 years have a past life. So that's why I've been mentioning it. People are scared to death of that topic. I noticed that when I talk about it on the channel, people are just like, but you got to start paying attention to that. Okay. It's a part of shadow work that a lot of people avoid doing. And I don't blame them, because it's not too many people out there that are willing to walk with you when it comes to that. There's not too many people that are willing to do that. They like, you need to go somewhere else with that, or either, I don't have any expertise in that. I don't know anything about that. Okay. And so it seems very far fetched, but it's not at all. And I'm not just talking about readings. A reading is a reading. I'm talking about when you're actually doing the spiritual work. For you to have a better understanding, oh, I want to banish something, but where are you banishing it to? Are you banishing a spirit from this lifetime or another one? And I'm sorry if I get 666 and y'all reading with the death card, I know that you're going through probably several past lives. And it is a common tactic of cursing. It is. It's a tactic that has been getting used for at least, I'd say, since 2019 hardcore 2020 is where it's been purposefully done. And then the scary part about it is living in a past life, actually being pulled back to that past life and not being in the current. So that's that part right there, which is very confusing and mysterious. And I'm not even going to try to break that down for y'all. Okay. That would take a whole other hour of a live that I'll get into later, and I'll probably record a video. And it'll probably have to have graphics with it too. I'll probably have to have some kind of graphic to show y'all what I'm talking about when it comes to actually being pulled back into a past life from the current. Then you'll find yourself to where you're not taking that quantum leap forward. You've been pulled back. And I've seen the spell work. I pulled this person back to the year 1902. You can tell a lot about a person by looking at their chart. um, which I feel is an open doorway to the Akashic records. So, but that's how that's happening. My thing about it is that there's going to always be some people that are going to want to have you caught up in war because they want to waste your life. I think that what are we practicing witchcraft for? What are we doing it for if all we do is stay miserable doing and talking about things that we don't want to, or thinking about things that we don't want to? Because your adversaries, they want to be in your head. They want free reign in your head. Their parasites, their energies, their spirits, they want free reign to your brain. So anywho, that's how that happens though. And while people may not be, they may not have a higher understanding of what they're doing, they're still able to do it. And the point is to make it so they cannot do it, because people are going to always have some kind of justification for the fuck shit that they do. They don't have to, you don't, because people will say, what did I do? You don't have to do anything to some people. They just know how to practice witchcraft and they'll do it to you. You don't have to do anything to those people or that person. You don't have to. You know what I mean? Some people just, they may be jealous. They may be jealous of you for whatever reason, or they just don't like you, or they just maybe just be they may just be a bad person that just likes to hurt people, just likes to see people suffer, just, you know. Now, I'm not saying that past life work has to always be negative. There's something positive that you can always get from the past life as well. But I think that, if you look back in history, you look at some of the most horrific things that have happened, you could be a part of that history, or at least you may have been affected by it. Okay. So, that is, I think that for me, it's something that I've gotten in the habit of just handling and dealing with every single client case lately, because that's what we're dealing with anyway, especially with cleanses. There's that advanced cleanse that a lot of people need. And then, protection. And like I said, protection does not necessarily have to be a whole bunch of stuff that you have to lug around with you. It can be something very simple. Or it can be, and eventually what that protection will do is it will become a part of your consciousness. And that's what you want. You want your power to become a part of your consciousness and not somebody's whims and whimsicals and ill wills. You don't want that to be a part of your consciousness, because then that's what you're manifesting. Then there's the people that I've seen this quite a bit when it comes to the energy harvesting thing, which is, there's a lot of people that are like, well, instead of that person feeding off of me, I'm going to feed off of them. Right now, I can only think of a handful of people that I would actually want to feed off of their energy. And that, like, I wouldn't, yeah, no. You know what I mean? I want to have my energy back, but I wouldn't want that person's energy at all. So, yeah. And then that's being done by spirits and entities, typically. And so you just got to understand how to protect yourself from it happening to begin with, because once that stuff has gotten its hooks in you, then sometimes it can take years to get it out. But that's been reduced down to months, and depending on what you're doing and your level of faith and belief in the craft, could be immediate. And I don't believe in anything except for witchcraft. That's all I believe in. I don't believe in anything else. Especially here on Earth. I be watching NASA, and they've got like these sounds of the earth, and it is so eerie how you can hear the magic on Earth. You can actually hear it. You hear it. Y'all should go check that out and trip off of that one day. Just sounds from Earth that NASA picked up on. It's just like, wow. You know what I mean? So, anywho, that's pretty much it. Make sure y'all hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and I hope y'all enjoyed this discussion. Okay. And to all the good people out there that did not deserve the crap that they got, good luck today. Okay. Because today is Tuesday. And just like those very powerful energies can be used to help you, can also be used to harm. Okay. All right, y'all. Happy full moon to y'all. And oh yeah, happy Mother's Day too. Happy belated Mother's Day. I put up a little thing on my wall for Mother's Day for y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed that. I made those out of my Canva app. They've kind of changed. They've kind of changed their AI creator, so it's kind of like, I don't know. It just seems like it changed, but happy Mother's Day to y'all. Since I wasn't here, I was actually pretty busy on Mother's Day. So, all right, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Blessings to y'all. Bye bye.